Alrighty, so here we are. I'll try that again. I think it's safe to say that there is no singular episode of Yu-Gi-Oh, at least not as far as the standalone episodes are concerned. There is no other Yu-Gi-Oh video that I have been dreading recording more than this one right here. Now you might be like, why? Because this is the Merrick backstory episode, and I kind of do not like Merrick as a villain. I have made it no secret. And now, after having seen his backstory episode, I can honestly tell you, in both versions now, I can honestly tell you why that is. Because normal Merrick was an asshole, and it's Yami Merrick that everybody treats as the big threat. Which simultaneously I like and dislike. Like, admittedly, there is scenes later that kind of have Merrick kind of reflect upon how much of a dick he's been, but we also have to wait an entire filler arc in order to get to that point. Which means, from your perspective, after we have one, after the duel we're going to be covering next week, you're going to have to wait. Well, what did I say it was? Like, hang on, let me consult my calendar real quick here, because I'm pretty sure I said it was. Yeah, it was. So, for the record, this is going live near the end of May. I've already, sussed that out. This is going live near the end of May, and I will not be getting back to talking about Merrick again until August 26th, which, for the record, is the last Tuesday of August. So for 3 solid months, I'm not going to be talking about Yami Merrick too much. I mean, there's one time where I will go ahead and bring him up, but it's only it's only so that he can prove why putting this in the middle of Battle City was fucking stupid. Putting the virtual world arc in the middle of Battle City was fucking stupid. You know? But that is neither here nor there. The sub did get the point for this episode, as you might imagine, but I'll be honest with you. Yeah, in terms of my overall ranking, this is probably the example for me. And I know some people are going to want my head on a platter for this. This is an E rank episode, regardless of which version I'm looking at. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why, Blue Wolf? This is such a good episode. I disagree. This is supposed to be the big explanation of where the hell Yami Merrick came from, but it does not explain, well, where Merrick's douchebaggery came from. We're supposed to believe that he became this tyrannical douchebag outside of Yami Merrick. I want to stress that point. Outside of when Yami Merrick shows up, normal Merrick was a sadistic asshole. He was killing people left, right, and center, and he had this big thing of wanting to rule on high as Pharaoh, even in the Japanese version. Now, he claims it's for revenge, but again, that's also because he believes shoddy over anything else, and Ishizu and Odeon and Rashid don't ever correct him on that. He just believes that the Pharaoh did this to them, and that the Pharaoh was responsible, that it was the tragedy of the the tragedy of the tomb keepers and all that shit, and that it was the Pharaoh who gave it to him. Now I'm starting to see why people consider Shoddy the true villain of the franchise, by the way. I mean, granted, again, like I said, in the sub, it's more questionable and it depends on your interpretation. In the dub, he's just a. He's pointless in this episode in the dub, and that's kind of the problem. Also, people are more douchey in the frickin' sub. Also, this is a very heavily censored episode in the dub. The what Yami Merrick does to uh, hell, what Yami Merrick does to Ishtar Senior is not expressly stated, and let me go ahead and just say it. Yeah. Ishtar Senior really deserved what he got. In fact, to be honest with you, the stabbing he got in the sub is, it is deserved, but let's just say I would prefer him to be, filleted alive like he was in the frickin' in the manga. Because in the manga, oh god, Yami Merrick is a brutal with a capital brutal. Oodle as he skins that piece of shit alive. But I am, as ever, getting ahead of myself. Let's back up a bit. So at the beginning of the episode, the very first scene of the episode, Kaiba and Mokuba go to the control room to, so that so that Mokuba can give Seto an update on the translation and the fact that my controllers are dropping all over the place because I'm trying to get something to weigh down my notes here because the freaking pages are dog-earing. Anyways, my point here is that the so that they go to check up on Mai. Ishizu joins. States in the Japanese version that it's because she was also worried. Oh yeah, not worried enough to be able to do anything about it, but then again, that was also a shitty fucking thing that never should have fucking happened in the first place. It's because Takahashi didn't think about, did not think about who he was doing that to. I stand behind my statement on that one. Now, there's more problems with that than as I described in Mind Game. There's more problems with it than just this happened to a woman. Though it doesn't help. Let's just be real. It does not help in the slightest. At all. That being stated, however, in the dub, Serenity kind of has a terrible point. And Shizuka's point is a little better, but at the same time, it's like, eh. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. I never finished addressing the Seto thing. The only matter that actually means anything for this episode with the whole Seto and the translation thing is that both Kaiba and Seto actually are kind of in agreement on questioning what the hell is happening to Kaiba in with being able to understand the hieratic text, because all he does, he just literally just looks at the text and he can read it. In the dub, of course, he says is I can understand that paragraph as if it was written in English, and then so that's Kaiba. That's what Kaiba says. Seto says that he can read all of the terrifying effects of Ra. Which will then lead to the next two episodes where he will effectively, try to devise a counter strategy to Ra, including a freaking devastating thing that we'll be learning about next week from your perspective. And with any luck, sometime today from my perspective. So that's all there. Then we get the scene where they go and they visit Mai. And so Serenity's point is that anger and revenge are what led to all of this. Like, that's why Merrick is trying to kill everybody, and blah blah blah. It's not going to solve anything. And Shizuka's big problem is that she's seen too many terrible things. Now, I wrote down a quote in the sub that I think perfectly demonstrates both both things, both points. I mean, it's, both versions of Serenity perfectly well. Okay, it's a quote from Doctor Who. I'm 99% sure this is the correct quote because I always weirdly misquote this thing when I'm just trying to say it off the top of my head. But I did find it. I did. I do not remember which Doctor Who episode it is, and if this is not accurate to what exactly he says, feel free to correct me, but I'm pretty sure this is the actual line from the actual episode because the second Doctor has this speech. I don't remember who he's saying it to, but in one of the second Doctor stories in Doctor Who, Patrick Troughton has this speech that he gives about why he fights evil, why he's against, and why, later it will be described as being against the pacifism of no, let's call it what it is, being against the negligence of his race, the Time Lords. And I quote, "There are some corners of the universe which have bred the most terrible things, things which act against everything we believe in. They must be fought." Now, the reason why I'm giving that quote to you is for a very similar reason to why I like there's a scene in Star Trek Deep Space Nine that kind of also emphasizes this. But the point is that you have to fight evil. If we let Yami Mera keep going around, he's just going to kill everybody, and that's going to be the end of it. This universe has bred the most terrible things which go against what we believe in. We have to fight for the world you want to see, Shizuka. I know this isn't the world you wanted to see, but if we ever want to see the world that you do want to see, we have to fight for it. I know that a lot of people, take umbrage with the whole loving peace is enough to fight for it thing. But I'm a firm believer in the idea of if you value peace, prepare for war. Because now some people say that preparing for war means blah, 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 blah. No, it means be prepared in case war happens. War is a terrible thing. You don't want war to happen. But if you're caught with your pants down in an emergency, you're going to pay the price. And it's that simple. It's the same reason why you have an emergency kit ready to go, right? Just in case something awful happens and you lose all your stuff, stuff like that. That's what that quote means. It doesn't mean you go seeking war. It means if war knocks on your door, you can whip out your cannons and blast in the face. That's what that quote has always meant, at least to me. Right? Do not be a doormat. Evil must be opposed. You probably and just from me saying that last line, you probably know which DS9 scene I'm referring to. It's during the Dominion War arc, when the Dominion has occupied Deep Space Nine, in Bajor. Right? What are you going to do about the Dominion, Major Kira? Well, I can't do anything, and on top of that, it's like this occupation's not as bad as the previous one. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Okay. The person, the Vedic, I'm pretty sure it was a Vedic. The Vedic she was talking to goes and hangs herself on the promenade. Evil must be opposed. Well, shit. Now that's one way to protest. It's an extreme way of protesting. You can only do it once, but damn. Ugh. But yeah. I also like that in the sub, Shizu says, has the right of it. Don't avert your gaze. Because again, you got to know what they're doing to oppose it, right? Like I do get Serenity's point about anger and revenge, but Merrick has to be stopped, no matter what. Yami Merrick has to be stopped, because if we let him be, that's only going to cause issues. You know. So then Shizu decides to tell them the story. He was way more hesitant to tell it in the sub, which I think is fucking stupid. But at this point, it's like no. Like if she started to refuse, my reaction would have been no. No. All the secrets, all the tea, spill now. Oh. Keeping it from us is only going to get people fucking killed. You want more blood in your brother's hands? Or do you want to actually fucking stop him and bring him back to his senses? Pick. And yeah, I would be saying it angrily like that, because it's like, your brother has fucking killed people. Maya's sitting in a fucking coma because he brain blasted her. Any info we can get that will lead us to us stopping him needs to be told to us now. Put your pride away. I don't care how badly it's been pricked. We got a job to do. Now, of course, it doesn't get to that point, but that, yeah. So then she starts talking about how she comes from a family of gravekeepers, which became an archetype in GX. Sorry. Which is funny because funny enough, the archetype even in the TCG adopted the Gravekeeper's name instead of the Tombkeepers. I mean, they're the same thing, so the name, it really doesn't matter that much, I admit it, but just kind of a funny little side note here. But then there's a point that's brought up in both versions. Contact with the outside world is forbidden. That's a fucking stupid rule. Now, I get the idea that they probably have multiple servants. They'd have to. There is no way in hell they don't have servants. Servants, right? Because that's the only way they're gonna have fucking food. Because it's literally, Merrick was brought food by Odeon in the previous episode. But this rule is still fucking stupid, in my opinion. And it's only proven right because fate is a thing in this universe, and it's fucking stupid. But of course, no, and the only reason it exists is because Yami Merrick was already, the seed of Yami Merrick was already planted, right? We saw that back in Awakening of Evil. So then Merrick begs to be brought out. So he and his Shizu go out and see stuff. He sees a magazine. He sees the picture of the motorcycle, which is a nice touch. As that's why he's riding around on a motorcycle when he gets to Battle City. It's because he saw it in the magazine, so of course he wanted to be riding around on a motorcycle, right? Right? So then Ishizu proves that she's knowledgeable. I have to question how the hell she knows what a TV and a motorcycle are, but if they're supposed to be if it's supposed to be forbidden that they go for the outside world, I could make a joke about that, but I'm not going to. Then they bump into Shoddy, who basically says, "Yes, you have broken the rules of the Tomb Keepers, there of the Gravekeepers. Now tragedy is your only destiny." I would argue that it's actually because Ishtar Senior is an asshole. That's what caused the tragedy. Like, I got to be honest with you. I don't know how much more bullshit that Merrick could have endured before Yami Merrick would have woken up. Like, the Tombkeeper's initiation the Tombkeeper ritual was going to create Yami Merrick. We saw that. This was just the straw that broke the camel's back. So, fuck off, Shoddy. No, them breaking the rules and being in the outside world is not what fucking caused it. Ishtar Sr. being a goddamn asshole caused it. Also, fuck you for blaming Atem for Yami Merrick's actions. While we're on the subject. God. So afterwards, there's Ishizu and Merrick go back. Like, she notices the alarm because she didn't notice it in the dark, which just begs the question: how the fuck are you so knowledgeable then, Ishizu, if you've never had to deal with that alarm before? What? Fuck off. Consistency. Can we have some, please? Fuck. Those two things do not mesh at all. Sorry for getting pissy about that, but it bugs me. So then they get back, they notice the alarm, and then Ishtar Sr. is whipping Odeon. And when Merrick and Ishizu show up, he starts trying to whip them. Doesn't get anywhere because that's when Yami Merrick wakes up, catches the whip, and starts a killing. Also, Ishtar Sr. literally just stands there like a dumbass, instead of trying to re-whip, but whatever. He's an asshole and he's a moron. Great combination. So then Yami Merrick takes the Millennium Rod, which apparently always had the dagger in it. Wait, what? Why? So, are you telling me that Seto always had a dagger when he was Are you telling me Pre-Seto always had a dagger on him whenever he was wielding the Millennium Rod in ancient Egypt too? Like, was he allowed to? Was he capable of shanking asshats? It's if he needed to. I mean, that dinky little dagger is not going to be more powerful than a sword or the magic of the Millennium Rod, so I don't understand what the hell. Hell, but whatever. You know. So Yami Merrick kills their father, stabs him to death, which is brutal, but not as much as the manga. I already talked about that. Merrick Ishtar Senior's was filleted alive in the manga. Good fucking riddance, in my opinion. Do. And then Shoddy, as I said, blames Atem, which is equally as stupid, and is just as much to blame for all this shit. as Ishizu and Rashid never fucking correcting Merrick, because Merrick just believes that the Pharaoh is responsible for all of this forever and ever. Amen. My camera. Okay, I thought my camera was failing to focus for a second. I'm sorry for any camera issues. This webcam has been acting weird and I don't get it. Anyways, but yeah, it's just as fucking pointless. And again, it's usually the main reason why people point to Shoddy and say, that he's the true villain of the franchise. Because he set a lot of these events in motion. I still say that these events would still eventually be set into motion, but I digress. So then they all agree to get some rest. As Joey reminds everyone of the promise he made to Yugi that they'd face each other in the Battle City Finals as true duelists, or to help defeat Merrick, which, depending on the version, both are stupid. Both should not have resulted in Red Eyes is being lost. I don't care what anybody says. Fuck that. But whatever. And I also prefer the teasing in the dub because in the sub, Ishizuka point it says, "Oh, well, just get Ishizu to predict your future to see if you actually do face in the finals." Fuck that. First of all, fuck that. Second of all, well, Serenity, don't encourage stupid ass fucking useless ass magic powers. And third, yeah, I prefer the way Serenity teases her brother. Just my opinion. So then we find out Shizu has lost her prediction powers. Gee, what a shock. Gives the Millennium Necklace to Yugi. Her role has been fulfilled. I hate the fate concept. I'm just gonna move on. Then we get a scene where Yugi is effectively worrying. In the dub, it is about how he's basically just wanting the madness to end because all of the shit Merrick's pulling is just getting to him. In the sub, it is equally as fucking pointless, but probably even more so because it's all about Yugi's worries about quietly issuing his worries of, well, the end of the series, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So then Yummy Eric decides to go back to attempt to do it again to destroy Odeon again. Wait, were you that interested in Kaiba dueling that you didn't try it again earlier? What? That makes no sense. Ugh. Kaiba, can your fucking scene rules have some consistency, please? Because that would be nice. Oh my god. But whatever. Yami Bakura shows up and saves Odeon after Taya delivers the Millennium Ring, excuse me. Millennium Ring is delivered to Bakura. Yami Bakura wakes up, saves Odeon, weirdly enough. Now in the sub, it was like by design because Merrick's good side did not want Rashid to die. In the dub, it's literally just he wants his body back. I could make a joke, but I'm not going to. Then they find out that the shadow powers are equal because Merrick tries to pull the fling you to the wall thing that he pulled during his first appearance on both Ishtar Senior and Ishizu, but that of course doesn't work. Yami Merrick breaks free. Our shadow powers appear to be equal. Alright, let's settle this in a shadow game. To be continued. So, yeah. And that's how the episode ends. I'm actually going to just go ahead and make a note about this one, that this is definitely a ranky episode. This is an E rank episode for me. I am going to be doing a whole big rewatch of the entire series. Probably going to do so in the sub. And I'm basically just going to rank all of the episodes that I haven't. Obviously skipping over the ones that I know, because again, Randview, there are several that are, it's like, okay, you barely escaped Randview, okay, E. Oh, hey, this is a Randview, F, right? Now you're probably thinking, okay, why E rank Blue Wolf for this episode? This is a phenomenal episode. No, it's not. This is a crap episode, in my opinion. And it all stems from one simple thing. This is the payoff. This is what you've been building to for 2 seasons now. Well, I shouldn't say for 2 seasons. All season. This is what we've been building up to all season. Merrick has a good side, and we're supposed to just forgive all of the shit that happened before Yummy Merrick showed up. Fucking excuse you? Now, killing Ishtar Sr., that I'm going to slide under the rug. And to be fair, as I said, he's only really killed his subordinates, right? I mean, Pandora was agreed because he wanted to be a rapist. Loomis and Umbra, we don't really know much about. Strings probably was the most innocent of them all. Seeker was just kind of creepy. So he didn't really deserve that shit. And then all the shit that he did to Joey. Fucking with Joey's mind is probably the biggest crime that Merrick committed, and frankly, I don't think we should just be letting him off the hook like that. But to be fair, he does try to atone, and effectively, he does actually ensure, he will play a vital role in events to come. But that is for future videos. I don't like this episode. If it's not obvious simultaneously through the fact that I gave this an E rank, I'm giving this an E rank in terms of, overall reviewing. This episode was boring and full of, and basically introduced a whole bunch of like plot holes, basically, that once I started thinking about it, they didn't make any sense. And also the cliched, I don't want any more fighting crap can just go to hell. But regardless of any of that, I think we're getting down to the wire now. Next week is the final episode, the final video that I will be doing on season 2. Now, I thought about whether or not I wanted to save my thoughts for next time on this, but I'll go ahead and I guess I can say it now because screw it. Season 2 has not been impressing me, like, at all. As I said, you can shave off several episodes, and there's so many episodes that I feel like you could have either trimmed down to slim it, or just remove them entirely. There aren't as many that you can just remove entirely, and all of the stuff that was in the manga, you can't really remove, in my opinion. Unless Jean-Claude Magnum was in the manga, in which case, fuck him, he can be ejected wholeheartedly, and this series it would only improve matters. I'm pretty sure he isn't that is an anime exclusive duelist, so yeah, eject that moron and move on. And like I said, the rescue didn't need to happen either. You literally could have just slimmed things down a little bit in Friends to the End. and slimmed, not really fixed. Although you could also truncate it to just a couple of minutes, but that's beside the point. Truncate what's said between Seto and Atem anyway, but whatever. Point is, I don't like this episode, and I haven't liked season 2 so far. Next week, we end season 2 with a duel that I'm going to have to pay attention to, because I remember liking this thing, but then TGS Anime kind of analyzed this duel, and it was like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. Also, by the way, the second time the Heradic text will be mentioned, and nobody will give a fuck about it. Not helping my case. You're not helping my case. Ace episode. Regardless of any of that, though, I'm gonna chop off. I'm chopping off. Next time is Showdown in the Shadows, the duel between Yami Merrick and Yami Bakura. Until next time, Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. Duel stand by.